Now, there's an old adage in racing, and that's that you win or lose the race in the first turn. So if you're ever playing a racing game, drive into the first turn as fast as you can, because whatever damage you cause, you know, you win the race right there, even though there's another 20 laps. It's right there. It's actually a big fear in racing, is that everybody's going to jam into the first turn, because everybody's so close together in that first turn. And if somebody wrecks, like, they take out so many people. Is there wind simulation? There is air simulation, but not wind particularly. Okay. We're going to keep an eye on Emerson here at the beginning, because we're getting ready to go. There we go. Emerson has hit the gas, and away they go. 18 BMWs heading down into the Andretti hairpin. Let's see if we run into any issues here as Emerson Cusano is headed into the turn. Looks like the first group's getting through just fine. Let's see if anybody following up. No? We've got a bunch of professionals here, clearly, because they have made it to that first turn with no problems whatsoever. They can wait till the corkscrew before they crash. Emerson Cusano here is getting a bit of a lead for sure over Janis Dances? I'm going to go with Janis Dances. With David Hickman following behind and Mark Luna Heredia right behind them. This is pretty much the order that they qualified in, and it's not a huge surprise that they're staying that way. So we're kind of trying to keep an eye down the back of the field, see if anybody else makes some noise in the background. So far, nothing. And now for the first time through the corkscrew, oh, it looks like, oh, somebody made a little bit of a wide turn, but nobody's really that concerned about it. Let's see how people are making it just fine for the most part. Nobody looks to be sideways going down through the corkscrew. Oh, a little bit over the dirt, but that's fine. A lot of talented racers here today. Everybody's made it through this first lap with minimal problems. I think we saw an issue from Mark Luna here, who had a bit of an off between turns 6 and 7, and has dropped down the order a little bit, but does not look to have taken really any damage. I don't think they hit the wall. They just got off the track a little bit. So let's go back to the front. It looks like Emerson is starting to drift away, as we're starting to finally see some timing coming in from the laps that are being completed. Looks like there's some connectivity issues with some of the racers in this race. If I was having connectivity issues, they would all disappear, not just one or two of them. Let's see. I'm kind of trying to keep an eye on close matchups. Looks like we've got a decent matchup for third here, as we've got them heading into the, let's see, that's turn 5, heading up towards 6. We've got Nico Garcia chasing Damaso Garcia. And they are only a second behind, but that's not super close, I guess. As they disappear and come back and disappear. Probably the closest follower we have is right here, Ronwa Carrillo, and they are right behind Damaso Garcia, about half a second back. We're going to have to see as we go to a slightly different angle, because that one seemed kind of far away. So here we are, 0.35 seconds behind. Kind of keeping that gap close. So the real question we're going to have to ask ourselves, in a race like this, on this particular race course, where are the places to pass? For most people, the place to pass is going along this front straight here, down towards the Andretti hairpin, which is over this crest and then down the run a bit. You want to try to pass on the inside, but it looks like Wanra does not have that sort of speed at the moment. So if they were planning on passing, they were not able to do so. Let's see. There's people just disappearing and reappearing repeatedly, and it's messing up my timing screen entirely. Right now, it looks like just a very orderly race. You know? What are you going to do? Except for Nico, who I swear is going to just... Nico's got to be headed towards a disqualification. Yep, looks like they dropped out, unfortunately. So let's get back towards the action. Following Rodrigo Vasquez, who is now heading up towards the corkscrew. Really not following too closely behind anybody at the moment. Nico's still showing up on timing. Oh, nope, he's gone now. Pardon me. So, as I look down the order, we've got not a lot of tight races. Justin Hamilton here is hot on the heels of Greg Tassos. This is the fight for 10th place. Ooh, are they going to take it on the inside? Oh, they try to, but not quite able to convert that into a pass. That is a difficult place to pass, to be fair. I believe it actually was Rusty coming up on Justin's tail who tried to make that happen. So if we go ahead and take a look along the ride for this on the front straight, this is where I feel like passes are more likely. If you get enough acceleration off of turn 11, you should be able to get down this straight and then find a spot to pass, but it looks like that is not going to happen here. And as we look towards Justin, Rusty, who's right behind Justin, seeing kind of a similar thing. Nobody's quite finding the space to make those passes. Now, one thing to keep in mind when we're talking about iRacing is one of the ways that you move up the rankings is to stay safe. So bumping into people at all will cause problems for your rating. So a lot of folks, they're just really careful about how and when they pass. As a result, sometimes they're not as risky as maybe they could be, especially when we're talking about these higher races. But hopefully it won't stay that way, especially as we get towards the end, because we've only got so much time here. In fact, they're halfway through the race. Looks like the whole thing's just a 12-minute race here as we lose Nico again. I don't even know why I click on Nico, because now I've just lost the race. Here comes Janis. Emerson has definitely got this, and Janis has definitely got second. So is there anything down the order here? I think the only stuff we've seen is kind of middle of the pack stuff. This little group right here is fighting for 9th place, and it's probably the most interesting thing happening. 10th place, pardon me. We've got Justin followed by Greg, followed by Rusty, Modesty, and they are trying to get something going here if Greg can possibly get some speed going. Greg is at the moment about half of a second back. Rusty is about a half of a second even behind that in the Red Bull car there. And looks like we had a small off. I just looked up in time to see them disappear. So they've all passed somebody. Yay, we've all moved up a spot. It's Justin Hamilton at the lead of this group, is now heading into turn 5 towards turn 6. Trying to look up the order to see if there's anything even closer. We do have a bit of a fight going for 6th here if Nico could just stay in the race. And that looks like it freaked out Rodrigo, which is totally understandable. I think that if we were to watch this, especially from inside of the car, you will see that this is very, very alarming. We'll get a quick look at this. Let's go to that particular view, and you'll see like they go away and you're like, where are they? And you try and get around them, you're worried you're going to run into them, and it just totally messes up your lap. So unfortunately that is the situation that he found himself in, and that is why I kind of wish that the game had ejected them so that we wouldn't have this kind of problem. Moving back up the order a little bit, though, let's take a look at, this is Emerson again at the front. He has a commanding lead, 3 seconds about, followed by Janis, who has a 3-second lead over David, has a 3.5-second lead over Juan Ra. So the next close thing possibly is Damaso, who is now fighting the ghost car as well. You can't even see Nico, but Nico is apparently in that vicinity because they keep kind of popping in there, but maybe not. Maybe they've gone off or something. I don't know. Anyway, Justin Hamilton, we had a close race going before, but not so much anymore. Looks like folks are kind of spreading out as we're heading down to these last 4 minutes. Why risk it, I suppose? But yeah, this is... mostly this story here has been about the ghost car of Nico. The ghost of Nico. Who keeps popping in and ruining other people's race. David Hickman showing an off track. Oh, David Hickman showing a big off track as they barely escape running into things. They're going to drop down the order a little bit here as they lose all the way down to 4th place now behind Juan Ra, who has now gotten himself up into 3rd by continuing to race clean. Sometimes that's all that is required. And let's see if we've got anybody else. Rusty is trying to get up towards Greg again, but nothing amazing necessarily happening there as they try and make a little something out of this. Nico's way down the order. If they pop back in, I don't know where they're going to pop back in. Hopefully nowhere too terribly interesting. Or maybe we do want it to be interesting. Maybe we'd like to see a wreck. I don't know. I'm not going to judge. David Hickman now is trying to make up space between Juan Ra Carrillo, and I wonder with 3 minutes left if he can do it, because he had opened up a 3-second gap. No, a 4-second gap over Juan Ra Carrillo, and this is probably the one that is the most interesting to watch. It looks like as time goes by, The interval is now increasing because they went off the track again. I was just looking over and noticing that the interval was getting smaller, and then I noticed it suddenly getting bigger, and I was like, what's going on? And I look, and, well, they went wide on turn 6. But you know, that's racing. What are you going to do? They're probably not going to get that spot back now. Though I wonder if they can get 4th back. They're only 3.5 back on Damaso Garcia. And they've got Adrian Gill like right on their tail here, so as they're heading through turn 11, one has to wonder, can they make it up? I don't really know. I really don't. Oh, there's cones flying all over the place. Faster than the physics engine probably wants to allow them to. It almost looks like Adrian is catching up. Adrian is 0.85 seconds back. They've got a 1.5 here. They may possibly get one more lap in after this lap. In fact, I'm assuming they will, because I think Emerson's going to be able to finish this lap. Is they're just racing a fine race, as we see the pattern from, I believe it was David Hickman, going a little bit wide there on turn 6. Emerson's continuing to do well, just a machine. Focused in, taking care of business every day. So Rusty coming up on Greg, trying to make something out of that, and Adrian is actually starting to fall back a little bit from David Hickman. There you go. You know, not every race is going to be the most exciting race, but I still think it's fun. I still think it's fun. Which I kind of feel bad for David Hickman. They've whittled this gap between them and Damaso Garcia down to 1.7 seconds. I believe it was over 2 seconds before, and they've got it down almost to 1.5. I believe they have one more lap to do this in, unless the race just ends at 12 minutes, which I somehow doubt. I'm assuming they have to finish the lap. Can he do it is the question. Can David Hickman make up 1.5 seconds on Damaso Garcia F? I'm going to go with probably not, but you never know. This is his view. It's kind of like a tank. You can almost, it's like it's chopped off just a little bit there. The real question is there going to be another mistake? As David Hickman comes down towards turn 5, taking a right-hander to turn 6 here. Doesn't look like the gap's really closing up. I'm going to be real honest. Rusty looks like they're making it. Ooh, Rusty's making a move on Greg, though. I'm not sure if Greg made a mistake or what's going on, but they're heading up through turn 6, up towards Corkscrew. This could be interesting. Let's see how desperate Rusty might get. Is he going to try to make a move through the Corkscrew? See if he can gain some time by maybe playing a little bit fast and loose. Oh, oof, a little bit loose, but not too loose. Fortunately, it takes it right through the turn just fine. But he does lose significant time. About 1.5 seconds that he falls back on that is in the fight for 8th place. I think he's going to end up in 9th. It looks like Damaso is not going to be able to make up the difference to... pardon me, David Hickman won't be able to make up the difference to Damaso is what I'm trying to say. Unless... Oh, nope, that's just the end of the race. So the race ends, and we have Emerson Cusano as the winner, Janis Densis in 2nd, Ruan Carrillo in 3rd, Damaso Garcia F in 4th, David Hickman in 5th, Adrian Gill in 6th, Justin Hamilton 7th, Greg Tassos 8th. 9th goes to Rusty Modesty, 10th is Marco Bononi. I'm only going to go to 10th place. That's their reward for being in the top